Yeah. Y'all know what it is, man. Off the Cuff Radio, episode 390, in full effect. Sponsored by Buddy Boy Entertainment. Sponsored by Da Vinci Clothing. Sponsored by Jesse's Boutique and Core Financial. Had to show a little love to my man Hellraiser from Wu-Tang. He just dropped the movie on Rising. You need to go check that out so we play that joint. But nevertheless, man, we got a double header on deck. And we got my co-host T-Max with the facts in the building.
What it do? OTC, Friday night. We back at it once again, man. So it's another, chapter in the championship, status of constant communication and the ill profession of what we do, man. Shout out to our co-host, all the family, H and Chiller. We here, man.
Yes, sir, man. And our first guest of the night of episode 390. He was a part of this trio here that was putting it down in the 90s. They were partly responsible for that culture shift when everybody was throw your guns in the air and shoot 'em up, bang bang. They brought that nice jazzy feel to the table and became very successful at it. Became Grammy nominated.
Definitely.
And that hit record, man, that they put out.
It was cool like
Rebirth
that,
of
man.
Slick. Yeah, it was cool like that. You hear it in commercials, video games, McDonald's commercials, wherever you going to hear that, man. That's a representation of hip-hop and from what it is in its purest form. So without further ado, let's bring on my man, DoodleBug, a.k.a. C Knowledge, y'all.
What up?
What's going on,
family?
What's
happening,
How
man?
you?
Man, thanks for having me, bro.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Yeah, my bad for getting at you a little late, man. I had that phone on charge, man. I had to make sure everything was off and running, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all good. Shit happens, you know what I'm saying? We on now, so that's all that matters.
That's what it is, man. But what's been going on with you, man? So for people who have already been in tune with what you're doing and what you're up to, tell us what you got going on, man.
Yeah, right now I got a new project out, you know what I'm saying, called The Philadelphian. I released independently. It's available on my Bandcamp page, cknowledgepresents.bandcamp.com. 12 songs on there. It's available on CD, vinyl, and also digital. You know what I mean? I'm working on that. I'm also working on a comic book that I wrote along with my business partner, Thomas View. We're working on finishing up this comic book, and we also put together a podcast and a web series based on the comic book. And I got a Digable Planets. We're doing a live stream concert online May 15th. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be doing that May 15th from Seattle, Washington. People can buy their tickets now, though, if they're interested. You know what I'm saying? And check us out on May 15th.
Man, DoodleBug, it's T-Max from VA. It's an honor and a privilege. It's been almost 30 years since you all dropped your debut. And like King said, the jazzy vibes, the butter smooth flow, the overall, just bohemian nature of just that free thought association with your rhymes, man. It was something that you all brought an elixir for hip-hop at that time in 92 that we didn't know we needed, but we loved the fact that we were able to absorb it. Did you all know from the onset how much of legends that you would end up becoming, from there to now in terms of being so distinguished?
Man, no, I definitely did not think that. I definitely didn't think no legendary status. You know what I'm saying? I don't even, to this day, I definitely don't consider myself no legend or anything like that. Just consider myself an artist trying to, do his thing. Had a little bit of success, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a good feeling, man. You know what I'm saying? To do what you do and then have people receive it so well. You know what I'm saying? That's a great feeling, man.
Yeah, man. And one thing about it is that like King said, in terms of, cool like that, it's a unique ubiquitous now in terms of how it is so prevalent in pop culture everywhere. You all came at a time in hip hop where it wasn't corporate dominated. It was really about free expression. It was just about doing you in general in terms of the hip hop that y'all chose to express yourselves in. A quick history. How did y'all come together in terms of making of the group, the process of the album, and then just watching it take off, and then, of course, Reputation, New Place of Time and Space, and then, of course, going into your second album, Blowout Comb. I mean, give us a brief history of that.
Yeah, man, we got together in the early 90s and got signed, luckily got signed to this new up-and-coming label called Pendulum Records, owned by Ruben Rodriguez. This A&R representative there named Dennis Wheeler, may he rest in peace. He saw something in our music, that some other people just didn't. And he took a chance on us, and convinced the rest of the cats of Pendulum Records to get down, And we got in the studio with Shane Faber and Mike Mangini, who helped engineer the Tribe Called Quest Native Tongue Sound. They did a lot of the engineering for a lot of those albums and those projects.
Oh, wow.
So us being new cats in the industry, although we produced our own music, we needed somebody, some mentors to help us, because that was the first time we was ever really in like in a major studio situation, Before that, we was recording in our crib or in somebody's basement or something like that, So now we were finally in a major studio situation on a major label. So Mike Mangini and Shane Faber had a studio out in Jersey, in Bergen, New Jersey, North Bergen, and we would go there every day, Monday through Friday. In the summer of '92, and we recorded our album, and then we released the first single. I think it was October of '92, Rebirth of Slick, cool like that, and it just took off from there, man.
Man, and what did y'all learn about the business as y'all went along in terms of when you really started? When the song really started to catch fire in terms of like. Because you got to remember, Bug, this is you all dropped in the fall of '92. So this is of course, Q dropped, I believe Lethal Injection came in '92. Of course, some guy named, from Compton, I think him, his name's Dr. Dre. He dropped this album called The Chronic.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that was a busy year. That was a busy year for hits, man. There was a lot of hits that year.
Yeah, EPMD dropped Business Never Personal. Redman dropped What The album. Dude, y'all.
93 was a competitive year.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Naughty by
you know
Nature
what,
was
guys,
hot. Cypress Hill was blazing.
Yeah.
And they used to drain our pockets every week because it's like as soon as we had to save a little more money to buy the next week, to buy the next album.
Hey, yo, for real.
Definitely.
And you had no choice. There was no streaming services back then. You had to buy that joint. You know what I mean?
Definitely. What did y'all learn about the business as y'all went along in terms of everything? Did you learn those lessons you learned in the business then to what you have taken into now?
Yeah, the things we learned back in those days is what, enabled us to survive this long in the business and to be able to thrive now, as businessmen. Back then we didn't know nothing about the business side. We were just creatives. We just knew how, we was making music, we were artists. We didn't know too much about the business side. Luckily we had good management that kept us insulated from some of the bullshit, the BS that might happen, But we had to learn. We got some dings, got some scars. We had to learn a couple of things during the course of our career that helped us, to become who we are now,
And, editor's note on the show, man, broadcaster's note. You can say whatever you like, man. You do not have to edit anything. You want to say bullshit, fuck.
All right. That's what's up. That's what the fuck is up. That's
free.
What the fuck is
all
up.
There we go.
Yeah, man. So
yeah, I would have let y'all know. I would have been let y'all know. Like, as soon as they start cutting the monetizing checks, that's when we have to do the censoring. But hey, we free will over here.
Good.
It is
now,
what it is.
Definitely. Now, one thing, Bug, is one thing about when you're talking about you're going to do your comic, you also go under the name Creamy Spy Agent Du Togo, which you just happen to have the name of one of my all-time favorite anime characters. For those that don't know about Golgo 13, you need to watch
No doubt.
I mean,
no doubt, you definitely need to watch it. That's one of my favorites too, and that's exactly why I made it one of my my monikers. You know what I'm saying? Because I love that cat. He was so cool. He was like the animated version of James Bond or something. You know, he was cool as a bug, man.
Dude, have you ever seen an animated series online? Have you ever watched the actual animated series?
Yeah, no doubt. Heck yeah.
Dude, I mean the episode about where they and we're just gonna get on our anime black nerd here because I mean God. So, I mean they for those that don't know out there, basically Golgo 13 goes back to the 1970s of Japanimation. It's one of the oldest and the most famous out there. They actually, I believe, in Japan, I want to say in the 70s, early 80s, they actually released 2 live-action movies. 1983, they released Golgo 13, The Professional. Of course, later on, they did Golgo 13, Queen Bee animation. But the animated series that was released in 2008, they did 50 episodes of it. I don't want certain platforms online to get in trouble because they may have it up there on copyright, but if you search on it online, you can find it out there. But Bug, that episode, though, I think it was the 3rd episode. Remember that episode where that gun company hired those 2 assassins with those specialty weapons to try to take Golgo out in the desert? They came over that phony road race episode, that phony mission for him to go on, and it turned out he was in a race with a desert.
Yo.
And you
got me hyped now. I'm gonna have to go back and start watching this again, man. That was a good series. I haven't watched it in a long time, but that was a beast of a series right there. The movies and everything. I only saw one of them. I only saw The Professional. I didn't see the other one. Queen Bee, Johnny said. I didn't see
Queen Bee was dope. Check your DM after the show. It'll come from a guy named T-Max in VA. That's myself. I'm going to send you the song that I got from online. It's called Turquoise Blue. It was from the end of Queen Bee. I'll tell you one thing about those Japanese, man. Whether anime, whether music, because Turquoise Blue is just straight like a Japanese James Bond song, man. I mean, it's just the musicianship.
That's what's up. I want to hear that.
Yes, it is. It's unbelievable. I'm gonna send you the link.
Wow.
If I can find that link of that movie, I'm gonna send you the link for it. But Queen Bee was dope. Yeah, man. So I mean,
you know what though? You know while we building about music, man. I'm gonna tell you this straight up, man. One of my favorite albums was from '94. Was the album their second album was that Blowout album.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. That's what's up.
Yeah, because I like how y'all got really into more so militant steeds because considering what was going on at that time, the music was shifting, man. Was that the type of content that y'all was inspired to get into?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We always, that was always something a part of like who we were, you know what I'm saying? I felt like after the first album, the success of the first album, it emboldened us to start flexing our muscles and just doing what we wanted to do because the label wanted us to like repeat, like they wanted us to give them some more Cool Like That songs, you know what I'm saying, some more hit songs, and we were on some other shit, you know what I'm saying. We got a little, we toured a lot, you know what I'm saying. Started really getting into the industry, started seeing the Shark Tank that it is, you know what I'm saying, and and because of it hardened us. We became really, really adamant on the fact that we wanted to push out a black consciousness an album speaking on things that we wanted to speak about for our community and things like that. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to utilize our platform that we created off the first album and really do that. You know what I'm saying? It was a conscious effort to do that. You know what I'm saying? And luckily, our management helped fight the label, you know what I'm saying, and enabled us to do that, because the label definitely didn't want us to do that at first. They wasn't too happy about the blowout comb at first.
Now, one thing about it, Bug, because you talk so glowingly and so lovingly of your management, which is a blessing from the Most High in itself, because you all were just, especially coming into the game, you had people that were in your corner from the beginning who really shared the vision that y'all had and encouraged it and enriched it, you know, in their business acumen and professional push. For artists out there today, how important is it to have that management that really believes in your vision and has your back through thick and thin?
No, that's very important. That's a key element, is to have a team around you of people, like-minded individuals who believe in the vision, believe in the mission statement, you know what I'm saying, of the crew, and everybody has a skill set, hopefully, that people can identify, and then you utilize that skill set to make the crew, you know what I'm saying, thrive and do good. Everybody, you know what I'm saying, you ain't got to babysit nobody. You need a crew of motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, that you know is going to handle their business. Nobody's going to be jealous of somebody else, you know what I'm saying, because there was always the time, you know what I'm saying, in rap groups where everybody wanted to be on stage. Everybody wanted to be in front of the mic, you know what I'm saying. Nobody wanted to do the grimy work behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying. And all of that is important work, you know what I'm saying. You can make a lot of money in all those pockets in the industry, you know what I'm saying, if you do your research and, you know what I'm saying, and network and all that type stuff, you know what I'm saying. So it's really important to have people around you that's about the business, you know what I'm saying. You're always going to have the friends is always going to be there. You just gotta, if you're going to have your friends involved in your business, you just got to make sure that they're business minded too, you know what I'm saying. That's the key.
Definitely. One thing about it, and as you speak, Bug, in terms of the business aspect, Cool Like That is the most signature song of y'all. However, it's just another song in a long history of great songs you all have. But this goes into my next question about making sure that the business is right in terms of your publishing and, you know, royalty and everything. How great has that been for y'all from the business side in terms of almost 30 years later, in terms of still reaping other residuals, not only from a cultural icon perspective of respect, but monetary as well, that has enabled y'all to go into other endeavors?
Yes, it's been a blessing, man. It's real cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, we learned a lot of lessons. You know, we made mistakes, but luckily we were able to bounce back from some of those mistakes and keep it moving. And nowadays, you know what I'm saying, we finally, at the last 10, I say about 10 years or so, we finally own our own publishing now. We got our publishing back, and we own all our publishing, and we've been utilizing it, doing stuff with it, you know what I'm saying, licensing deals and stuff like that, keeping everybody, you know what I'm saying, and their families trying to, you know, keep everything moving, you know what I mean. So that was a blessing that we was able to get our publishing and own that for the last decade or so, and we've just been trying to exploit it but you know what I'm saying, as best we can without, you know what I'm saying, being overly with it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We want to do classy stuff with it. Cause now that we own it, we can do whatever we want with it. People have to come to us and get approvals. You know what I'm saying? So that was cool.
How do you think the music has changed from where y'all started back in '92 to now?
Oh man, I think the biggest thing is the internet. You know what I'm saying? It opened up smartphones, the internet, you know what I'm saying, streaming services has changed the game a lot, you know what I'm saying, whereas people were all about physical sales, now it's all about streaming, you know what I'm saying, how many streams you got. I think that's some of the biggest changes, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. They ain't seeing people owning their publishing, man, because it's sad to see when a lot of these big songs end up being in these big films, and none of the artists getting compensated for it.
Yeah,
that is true. That's true, man.
Even we're gonna
stuff like that has happened it happens to a lot of people. It happened to us too. You just gotta fight. You gotta fight for your right. You know what I'm saying? And I hope get the right people around you to, you know what I'm saying, to push for it. You know what I'm saying? The right legal representation, right management, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, we'll keep we'll keep this particular individual separate from his personal, well-documented personal troubles. I mean, the situation with R. Kelly. I remember when King and myself, we found out that day. King, remember when I hit you and we were talking, and then when we found out that news about R. Kelly didn't even own his own publishing, I was like, and that was, I mean, and that was wild.
His publishing is worth some guap right there. You know what I'm saying? His publishing ain't no joke.
Yeah, and it was crazy because when we think about all those songs he did, all those things that he wrote, and then we found out that Kells didn't even own his own music. And then, you know, of course, when they talk about, you know, how much money he had, or didn't have, rather, you know, because it's wild, Bug, because that era when y'all came in '92, hip-hop was still somewhat in the... It had made such a seismic impact over a period of, you could say, roughly about from 85 to 92. So we're looking about maybe what? Just almost a period of like what? 7 years, 7-8 years. And just just how things had changed so much. I mean, but when y'all came in, hip-hop was still in a very fundamental, it wasn't the bling era, hadn't come in yet. So this is a situation where we're not really worried about the wealth, the ostentatious displays of opulence in videos. It's just basically, rough, rugged, and raw. You all came at a time where the culture, dare I say, was just still pure at the time. And it still left, while the hardcore aesthetic was there, you all brought a very smoothed out, very bohemian, and very creative vibe that while it wasn't the norm of what was being released, you all found a perfect fit for your brand of hip-hop and found a new audience with it. Just to think about it years later, what you all did, I don't think the hip-hop community can thank y'all enough, for what you all brought to the game. You all just brought something totally new that would really, when we think about a lot of rappers that would kind of come after that time, Dred Scott, Breaking Combs, Boogie Monsters, and they had their songs, Recognize Thresholds of, Negative Stress.
Yeah, that was a dope song, too. I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were our label mates.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I want to say Boogie Monsters from Richmond, Virginia, as a matter of fact. Am I correct?
Baltimore or something like that.
Baltimore. Okay.
I know one of the guys is from Baltimore.
Okay.
And I know they were on the same label as us back when they first came out.
Yeah, and of course, if we go up to that Maryland D.C. area, VA, Maryland D.C. The Southern Tri-State. We can't forget Question Mark Asylum. When they drop Hey, Look Away.
That's my people's right there. Yeah, that's my people's, Eddie Black and them.
Yeah, how did it feel, man, to where, you all would end up, bringing and allowing that door to open for so many other acts to come in, and then, as the years grow and go, how Digable Planets would influence so many other artists down the line.
Yeah, it's just a natural, that's the natural progression. because there were groups that did that same thing for us. You know what I'm saying? To open the door for us. You know what I'm saying? With the things that they did and they accomplished, and the music they made that inspired us, and then also at the same time, because of what they did, opened the door and allowed it for a group like us to come out, like groups like Native Tongues, you know what I'm saying, De La Soul, them cats, you know what I'm saying, Justice Sonic, you know what I mean, did things, you know what I'm saying, that allowed that jazz rap sound to you know what I'm saying, to get some play, you know what I mean, and because of that, we were able to walk through the door and do what we do, and then after that, somebody came from behind us, and because of what we did, they were able to do what they do, and you know what I'm saying, it just keeps moving like that, you know what I'm saying, that's how it's supposed to be.
Now, one thing about it, man, in terms of what you as a collective, you know, Butterfly, Ladybug, and yourself, now, this is something that now y'all dropped an undoubtedly classic album, and although they had been doing it for some years, you know, there was a group, you know, from Philly, you know, I think you heard of them, called The Roots, and then they would drop their album Organic, you know, a year later in '93. So you all really kind of brought that hip hop that neo hip hop vibe into the game, you know, collectively. I mean, it just. I guess it's safe to say you all were ahead of your time in terms of what you all were bringing to the game.
Well, that's what's up. I appreciate that. I'll take that.
Definitely. Now, we got your view on in terms of how in terms of the internet where the music has changed. Now, the content. How do you feel about the content, and in terms of artists coming in now in reference to in terms of how artists just are coming in, as opposed to how y'all and the rest of your contemporaries came in?
Well, we came in an era where it was all about, we came up in an era where it was all about originality, you know what I'm saying? No biters allowed, you know what I'm saying? If you bit somebody's style, you bit somebody's rhyme, you know what I'm saying? People would confront you over that, you know what I'm saying? It was a big thing, you know what I'm saying? People didn't take that lightly back then. I mean, now people, it's everybody's copying everybody's sound, and everybody sound alike. And, I mean, not everybody. I don't want to sound like some old bitter old man, you know what I'm saying? But I think
from the sky.
I just think that we came up in an era where it was just a little different. Like the inspirations were different. You had originality. Everybody was in their own lane. You know what I'm saying? You had backpack rappers, you had party rappers, you had gangster rappers, and everybody was on the same bill in a show, or everybody was being played on the same radio show. Nowadays, the inspirations seem different. Like nowadays, it's all about getting money. So I mean, people was about getting money back then too. Don't sleep, but it just seems like nowadays it doesn't seem like people care about the Black Power or conscious movement. It's just like that to them. It's generally speaking, the mainstream sound of hip hop doesn't seem concerned with that. You know what I'm saying? And of course, there's underground rappers. I don't want to seem like these people don't exist, because they do. But when you think of rap nowadays, the mainstream sound of it, it's more or less about money. You know what I'm saying? And everybody trying to out money each other. You know what I'm saying? And show just how much money they can act or talk about they have, or they can spend more than you, or this. You know what I'm saying? People did that back then too, but it just wasn't as prevalent. You know what I'm saying? You had that, but then you'll have a song like that, and then the next song you have your song about Dear Mama or something, you know what I'm saying? Then you'll have a song, you know what I'm saying, Public Enemy coming on there talking about Rebel Without a Pause, or, you know what I'm saying? Then you have a party, then you have Kid and Play coming in with a party song, you know what I'm saying? Last Night Changed It All, you know what I'm saying? And it all played together, you know what I'm saying? Like now it don't seem the same to me.
Yeah, man. Once it's like this, man. If anything, what's crazy to me is won't they realize that the more balanced the game is, the more money you make?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, because it's hard to determine. Like, you could tell, like, back in the day, your favorite rappers, you could tell their voices. Like, as soon as you heard their voices on the radio, you knew exactly who that was. Exactly. Nowadays, these cats all sound alike to me. Like, they all got auto-tune. They all sing-songy. There's nothing wrong with that. But everybody don't need to sound like that. It seems like that's everybody hears. Like they hear when you hear something that's successful on the radio. Oh damn, I got to do that. I got to do a song like that so I can get on the radio. So I can get paid like that, or I can get a Cardi B to be my girlfriend or somebody. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. You know what I'm saying? It seems more like that, even though I'm pretty sure I'm oversimplifying the situation. You know what I'm saying? But that's just for now and for this platform. That's how I feel, man.
You know, King and Bug. I think what we've seen, King and myself, we've talked on the air with hundreds of guests that we've had. We talked off the air about this in private conversations. One thing about it is, there was diversity back in the game. We're gonna say it again. This is before hip hop got corporate, because we didn't start seeing that corporate influence really hit until maybe the late '90s.
Nah. It was definitely prevalent in the early '90s. Trust me. I would say
okay.
The early '80s, like the groups like Rakim, when those cats came out, it was less corporate thing because the corporations didn't really recognize the full capacity of what it could do at that time in the '80s. Like Run DMC was one of the few very corporate groups. Houdini, like these groups, they were kind of like one of the few. Most of the groups was on labels like Kia, Profile. They were like these are all under, like you know what I'm saying, like underground labels sitting in these little whack-ass little offices or in warehouses or something like that. Then in the 90s, the early 90s is when it started getting more corporate, because we was part of a corporate, you know what I'm saying? We was on a small label, but it was distributed by EMI and, you know what I'm saying, Elektra. And that's when all those big companies was a part of it in the early 90s. That's when they really started getting involved. By the mid-90s, by the late 90s, they had taken over. It was done. It was a done deal by then. But the early 90s is when they started taking over. You know what I'm saying? That's when Interscopes and Electras and the EMIs and all those cats started coming out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? They started taking over.
Right, and I kind of meant to say that from a perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say too,
the dictation of how they wanted the direction of the culture. I guess that's what I wanted to say when we started seeing the dictation, like when we started seeing the corporate influence where they started dictating where artists should go. But you're right, you know, when we started seeing, because I'm a heavy metal head too, unavowed. Morbid Angel, one of my favorite bands, thrash death metal bands ever. They released their album on Covenant. It was on Giant Records. And that was actually the first death metal album that was released on a major label. I'm trying to think who Giant was distributed by. I don't know if it was Sony or
I can't remember either, but I remember Giant Records. Yep, I remember that label.
Yeah, because that's who Color Me Bad was, I believe, signed to as well. But it's like a big deal in the metal community. It was like a crowning achievement for metal music at the time, because especially for those guys, for them to be on a major label was like huge. And the album was kick-ass. One of my all-time favorite death metal albums, released in '93. Yeah, man. So pretty much.
You also keep in mind, man, '93 in that era. This was when Puffy was trying to come up. Biggie, he was starting to get his shiny suit. He was starting to develop his shiny suit era. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the corporation was in effect, man. It was in effect. J Records, they was in effect in those days. That was when they really took over.
Because Puffy was working as an intern at Uptown Records, you know, with Andre Harrell. You know, me and myself, we would talk about that all the time.
You didn't hear too much. You didn't hear about too many independent labels in the early '90s. When you did hear about one, it was like it stood out. Like No Limit Records, they stood out because like everybody else was like trying to sign with a major label. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, it was just a wild time, man. You know, to just watch a lot of these artists just, you know, come along. You know, because also too. Go ahead, King. Go ahead.
Yeah, plus I think what happened too is, and going by what we were saying earlier, one of the main reasons why you don't hear a lot of these people within the forefront of the mainstream really putting out them type of records is because their money is tied up in these corporations now. Now they getting sponsored deals. they getting sponsored deals that I ain't seen none of the rappers we had get. I mean, they getting yogurt deals, they're getting chewing gum deals, and
yo, I'm telling you,
doing.
I never seen so many rappers taking chartered private planes in my life, like doing like, and they giving away. They give up Bentleys, like they giving away Bentleys, like they giving them away for free, like somebody's giving them for free or something. Like, where all these Bentleys come from? Every time I see somebody, one of those rappers in their birthday parties, they giving their wife a Bentley or their 16-year-old a Bentley. Damn, this new era of rap has got, like, I ain't never seen so much money involved in it because it's part of the corporation, that corporate shit. That's all they want to promote. They're not gonna promote no. If Public Enemy came out today, they probably have to be on a independent label or put it out themselves.
And you know what's wild, y'all? Because the fact is you know, when you look at the money, if we're going to break it down to brass tacks for a little bit in the money aspect, there were some artists, whether, you know, they was out there on the block or whether they was, like, when you look at EPMD, shout out to Eric and Parrish, they were their own producers. So they never needed the label's money. So they were able to handle all of that themselves. You got guys like Rakim, you know, who a lot of his personal history is shrouded in mystery, but from everybody you talk to, Rakim was like really like respected out there on the block. You know, guys like Cool G Rap, my favorite MC of all time. You know what I mean? You know, a lot of these dudes, you know, Ice-T, you know, shout out to, you know, Uncle Ice. I mean, you got these guys out there who were really, really, really out there, who really had money, but it was like, if you saw the change, you know, and everything, but it wasn't like, it was part of the fashion, but it wasn't like they were really trying to show what they had. It's like they weren't really trying to get over the top with it. I mean, Bug, I mean, me and King we were like young niggas growing up back then, you know, so we really didn't even know. We couldn't really understand, like, the significance of, like, you know, Yves Saint Laurent, you know, Gucci, you know, Louis Vuitton, you know, Burberry. Like, we really didn't even know what that was. You know, we were too young to really understand it, and now it's like, but when you started seeing the fashions change, shift, and, you know, more money came in, now everybody, in a Bentley, dude, a Ferrari? I mean, what? I think a Ferrari 308B in the 80s, I think that car was going for, like, I want to say maybe 100,000 in the 80s. I think when the Testarossa dropped, I think the Testarossa was going for, like, maybe 110,000. And that was, like, that was serious back in the day. I mean, imagine a rapper in 89 whipping in a Testarossa.
Yeah, for real.
But then again, Sir Mix-a-Lot, he had that Lamborghini, you know, back in the day. So the Lamborghini Countach back in the day. So some of those dudes really did have it out there.
Yeah, I mean, he was into real estate and stuff. So he had money.
Okay, I didn't know that. See, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls on Off the Cuff Radio, you always get that information that you didn't know, but you needed to know, whether we give it or our guests give it. That's dope, man. And also, too, but you know, Bug and King, you know, there was also something Method Man said a few weeks ago, where he just asked a plain question: where are these new rappers getting all this money from? He's like, I can account for all the money I got, you know, from all the work I did.
Yo,
he's
for
like,
real.
Real. But he's like, where they get all this money from?
Yo, for real. I'm just saying. I mean, every time I turn around, they fly private and that's private flights. That shit is expensive as shit, son. That's not some cheap shit. You ain't gonna be doing that every day. That's not something a regular person gonna be doing every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, they always on the plane. They always, like, super extravagant, like, doing shit like, you're like, wow, where is it? It is a lot of money. But like you said, I mean, the corporations taking over. You know, they took over the whole, pretty much the industry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, nowadays you got the internet, opened it up to a lot of independents. But you still got to have money to make the shit work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, man. But check this, guys. We got to wrap up the first hour, man. But it was a pleasure having you on, man. I mean, you know, you still putting it down out there, and you got people still following up the movement. Those legendary